Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Mir Muhammad Islam, Associate Professor of Pharmacology, Adin Sokina Women's Medical College, Jashore. How are you all? It is very difficult to be well in this pandemic moment, and we are thinking that you are well and I am also well. So, in the previous session, we will discuss about the structure of the insulin, the secretion of insulin, and also the regulation of insulin. In today's session, we will discuss about the mechanism of action of insulin and how insulin controls our blood sugar level. And if we get times, then we will discuss about the sources of insulin and also the types of insulin, and sometimes we called it the insulin analogs. If we get time, then we will discuss about it. So, let us start. When insulin goes into the circulation, it binds with insulin receptors. The insulin receptors are mainly present in the liver, in the adipose tissue, and also in the muscle. When insulin binds with insulin receptors is a heterodimeric structure. It has two subunits, one is alpha subunit and another one is beta subunit. And it is a heterodimer condition when the insulin is so much active to bind with them. When the bind with this receptor, when insulin binds with the alpha receptor recognize that insulin is coming or insulin comes to bind with it, and beta subunit it spanning the cell membrane. It's present mainly in the cell membrane, and the insulin binds with this insulin receptor, and conformational change occurs in the beta subunit because the beta subunit contains an important enzyme that is called the tyrosine kinase. When the insulin binds with the alpha subunit, the beta subunit gets stimulated and it stimulates the tyrosine kinase. When the tyrosine kinase is stimulated, the tyrosine kinase becomes more stimulated than another tyrosine kinase. That's why the more and more tyrosine kinase are stimulated, and they find a protein to stimulate, that is the insulin receptor substrate 1. This insulin receptor substrate 1, when stimulated after phosphorylation of this tyrosine kinases, the insulin receptor substance 1 then activate the two pathways. One is mitogen activated kinase pathway and another one is RAS pathway. By this pathway, they form a second messenger system, and this second messenger increase the glucose uptake by the cell, especially the muscle and adipose tissue, and also the translocations of the different types of GLUT receptors in different organs, and also it helps in the growth of the cell, the division of the cell, and helps in to development of this cell. So that's why this is the molecular mechanism of insulin. So, if we recapitulate the mechanism of action, insulin binds with its insulin receptors. Insulin receptors has two subunit, one is alpha subunit and another is beta subunit. This receptor binds the insulin as it is present in a heterodimeric condition. When binds with this type of receptor, and also the alpha subunit recognize the insulin because the recognition site is alpha subunit, and beta subunit has an important enzyme, that is the tyrosine kinase. When alpha subunit recognize the insulin, the beta subunit get stimulated and it stimulates and phosphorylated many and more tyrosine kinases, and these many and more tyrosine kinases stimulate a protein that is called the docking protein, that is the insulin receptor substrate 1, and this protein get stimulated and also become phosphorylated, and this protein after this phosphorylation, these activate some of the pathways that is the mitogen activated kinase pathway, and another one is RAS pathway. By through this mitogen activated kinase pathway and inositol triphosphate 3 kinase pathway, they form the second messenger, and this second messenger perform the action of insulin. So, what is the action of insulin? Insulin, when acts in the liver, it inhibits the gluconeogenesis. From the non-carbohydrate source, the glucose cannot be produced by insulin. In the liver, insulin inhibits the gluconeogenesis by inhibit the pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. Insulin stimulates the glycogenesis in the liver and muscle by stimulation of the glycogen synthesis and also stimulation of the pyruvate decarboxylase. Insulin also neogluconeogenesis in the liver. In the muscle, insulin stimulates the glycolysis and increase the uptake of glucose in the muscle. As far glucose is utilized in the muscle, and that's why that insulin inhibits the blood glucose level or decrease the blood glucose level. Insulin stimulates the glycolysis mainly in the muscle and adipose tissue and increase the glucose uptake in the muscle and adipose tissue. In protein metabolism, insulin helps in protein synthesis. It stimulates the amino acid transport in the muscle and also increase the ribosomal protein synthesis in the muscle. Insulin in adipose tissue helps to formation the triglyceride. By stimulation of the lipoprotein lipase, from the lipoprotein they form the triglyceride and accumulate it. When insulin accumulate more triglyceride in the peripheral tissue, it formation of fat in the peripheral tissue, and that's why the weight gain occurs by taking of insulin, as there is more protein synthesis and as there is more triglyceride formation. Insulin inhibits the intercellular lipase and also it causes the esterification of the fatty acid and inhibit the fatty acid formation from the amino acid. Insulin also helps to inhibit the conversion of amino acid into keto acid. So, these are the important action of insulin in liver, muscle and adipose tissue, and also in the carbohydrate metabolism, protein metabolism and fat metabolism. That's all helps in decrease the blood glucose level by taking of insulin or by exogenous insulin. That's why helps in control our blood sugar level. Okay, these are the important action of insulin. Now we'll discuss about the sources of insulin. There are different types of sources of insulin. One is porcine insulin, one is bovine insulin, and nowadays we get insulin from the recombinant DNA technology, that is the human insulin. At first the bovine insulin are produced, and these are the insulin that have 3 extra amino acid from the human insulin, and these are the insulin are more antigenic and that cause more allergic reaction and hypersensitivity reaction, and that's why these insulin are not used. And some religious purpose or some religious fact also present in abolishing this insulin. Then the porcine insulin comes, and the porcine insulin, the amino acid sequence than human insulin is of 1 amino acid, and it is also antigenic and it is not used some religious purpose, and also its antigenicity that causes more hypersensitivity reaction in man and causes itching in different sites, especially the insulin taking sites. So that's why these insulin are not used nowadays. Nowadays we got insulin from the recombinant DNA technology. It's a laboratory synthetic procedure, that's why in simple activities or in simple manner in the laboratory, in a small time or in a small period of time, we get a large scale of insulin is produced, and that insulin is called the human insulin. And human insulin are produced from the recombinant DNA technology. What is the recombinant DNA technology? We isolate the DNA of the insulin gene from the human, we cut it from the pancreatic beta cell of the human, the DNA insulin gene we get by restriction enzyme, then it is ligated with the vector, especially the plasmid and bacteriophage of Escherichia coli or some yeast or some fungi, and then we developed a transformation over there because the ligase enzyme helps the plasmid to bind with this gene, and the transformation occurs into the host cell, and the host cells are especially the Escherichia coli, yeast and fungus, where the transformation occurs of insulin gene into the bacteria, especially the Escherichia coli, and then the multiplication occurs over the Escherichia coli, and the cell division occurs by binary fission, and we get the cloning of the insulin, and from it we get the human insulin. After taking it, we get more and more human insulin over there. So this is the important mechanism of recombinant DNA technology from which we can get the human insulin, and human insulin are getting from the recombinant DNA technology. Nowadays we used insulin analog. These are the insulin which acts like insulin, but its structure is not as same as the human insulin, because we interchange the different amino acid over there and make it more stable, control the duration of action of the insulin, and helps people to control their blood sugar level. And there are 4 types of insulin analog nowadays. We 4 or 5 types of insulin analog we produce nowadays. That is the rapid acting insulin, the second one is short acting insulin, the third one is intermediate acting insulin, and the fourth one is long acting insulin. And there is another insulin that is called mixture of insulin, or sometimes we called it premixed insulin, in which the intermediate acting and also the rapid acting or the short acting insulin are attached a form of mixture of insulin that controls our blood sugar level during the meal time and also in the non-meal period. And these insulins are rapid acting insulins are insulin aspart, insulin lispro, and insulin glulysin. These are the important rapid acting insulin, and its action starts just after 5 minutes and peaks at 1 hour, and it helps to control our blood sugar level as its duration of action persists 1 to 3 hours. Next, the short acting insulin, and we called it regular insulin, that is the regular soluble crystalline zinc insulin. And the name of this insulin, the trade name of insulin is insulin ectrapid, and this insulin starts to act at 30 minutes, then it peaks at 1 to 2 hours, and it controls our blood sugar level, or its duration of action is 3 to 5 hours. Next, the intermediate acting insulin, and we sometimes it is called the isofen insulin, and we call it neutral protamine hagidron insulin, and the content is neutral protamine hagidron, and this insulin starts to act after 2 hours, and its peak occurs in 3 to 5 hours, and it controls our blood sugar level to 6 to 8 hours. Next, the insulin, that is the long acting insulin. 3 types of long acting insulin. One is insulin glargine, that is the trade name is Lantus. One is insulin ditamide, and one is insulin degludec. These are the important long acting insulin we now established, and these important long acting insulin helps to control our blood sugar level in 24 hours, because its peak level are always flat and starts to act its action after 2 hours. So these are the insulin analogs, and in the next session we will discuss about the importance of insulin analog and the indication of insulin, also the insulin's contraindication and adverse effect of insulin, especially the insulin induced hypoglycemia we will discuss in the next session. Hope you will enjoy this session, and this session will help you to memorize or to learn the mechanism of action of insulin and how insulin controls our blood sugar level, and about the source and about the insulin analog.